again for joining us today, dear Viktor Karvatsky. Thank you for accepting our kind invitation, and thank you for all contributions you are making in the last couple of months to the Institute, and hope we will be working closely in the future as well. So you are from the Adastra agency, and also you are also part of ERI from several weeks on now. And so the Ukrainian gas sector, we have always heard that natural gas is a big issue between especially Russia as the producer and Europe as the consumer market. And the role of Ukraine in this trade, in this flow, is somewhat outstanding. So we would be very happy, and we are more than interested to listen to you. So I would like to give the floor to you, please.
Yeah, okay, thanks a lot for the invitation. It's my pleasure to be here with you, and my pleasure to cooperate as a visiting researcher with Eurasian Research Institute as well. And today I will shed some light to the broader picture of Ukrainian gas sector, not one only centered on our transit capabilities, but the whole and the development ways how we may further increase our credibility as a gas player when it comes to domestic production rights, or when it comes to engaging with different players across the world, including Turkey, for example, to create the so-called Eastern European gas hub with price liberalization, creating like our own price index. Yeah, so we will start at that point. You all know that Ukraine is a transit country when it comes to gas, so it's also been in news in the coverage. All the recent events related to Nord Stream 2, also they circulate around the idea that Russia would like to bypass Ukraine by several steps, including Nord Stream 2, the German-Russian pipeline from Vyborg in northern Russia near St. Petersburg to northern Germany. And the latest year events, like several couple of years, including like American sanction on Nord Stream 2, they all cover the topic of interconnection between security and gas transit, as Ukraine as being prominent transit country. So right now, unfortunately for Kyiv, our transit capabilities are relatively low. So it's 40 BCM. So it's not much. As you may see, our maximum capacity is 146 BCM. It's really much. Like Ukrainian gas transmission system is one of the largest in the world, and by far largest in Europe. If we take the cumulative length of all of the pipes in the system, it will make up 33,000 of kilometers. It will be enough to go around the Earth several times. It's a very very system with gas concentration system, gas distribution system, and that's it. So as it was born in Soviet times, predominantly it was perceived as the principal export destination from Ukraine to countries of Eastern Europe, predominantly Soviet countries of Eastern Europe, like Poland or Czechoslovakia back in the Soviet times. So here you may see our annual gas consumption. So Ukraine consumes annually around 30 BCM per year. It's like the number is relatively stable. Like surely the most used share of its 30 BCM is in the first quarter, in the January and February, when the population used gas the most. And here you may see the graph of the quarters in the regard of different past few years. But the thing is that our production is 20 BCM. So we consume 30 BCM and produce 20 BCM. So it's always shortage of 10 BCM. When it comes to production profile of Ukraine in the gas sector, the predominant share is executed by state-owned companies. Ukrgasvidobuvanie, it's like execution and production Ukrainian gas service state company. It has its sub-bridge called Chernomor Gas. It's like part of Ukrgasvidobuvanie in charge of gas production in the shelf of Black Sea, like near Odessa, near Mykolaiv, near Zaporizhzhia, near Crimea as well. And Ukernafta, it's like our oil company. So there is so-called associated gas like condensate. When you extract oil, also have some part of a gas, and not so huge share, like 25%, is owned by private companies. Like Ukraine is very diversified in private companies portfolio. It makes up 7 or 8 like giant companies in the business, and there is room also for new entrants, about which I will speak in the following slide. So there's not like, monopoly when it comes to gas production. Yeah, and Ukraine for the last decade was always in the situation of a shortage of 10 BCM per year. And from this very realm, it sounds like not very just, but it's the reality. So our Ukraine has enormous gas reserve potential, which is not unfortunately being extracted right now. So as I said, we extract 20 BCM per year, but we have enormous gas reserves. So we're second largest gas country when it comes to reserves in Europe after Norway. So at 1.1 trillion, it would be enough if you can make it for 50 years from now on, and we may accelerate the extraction and so on. So one you understand, so 1.1, it's all about all technically recoverable resource. So the number of economically recoverable resource which are available by current prices and current technology may be lower, but it's still, Ukraine offers a huge opportunity when it comes to gas production, like in the Black Sea, continental shelf, or in some regions such as Poltava, the center heart of Ukrainian gas production. So as I already mentioned, Ukraine has not only huge reserves, but also like huge infrastructure. So apart from gas transmission system, we have largest in Europe underground storage facilities. So back in Soviet times, actually, it was Ukraine compensating up for large share of export of gas within the Soviet Union. Even Ukraine exported gas to Russia. That's why when the gas fields became depleted, one may now observe that you have a huge underground storage facilities, because they were formed in a consequence of previous gas extraction, production, and depletion. So to give you some numbers, the cumulative storage capacities make up 30 BCM. So, and if you invest more money in development, for example, floating storage units in the Black Sea, like according to World Bank, or Ukraine can expand its underground storage facilities up to 50 BCM. So 50 BCM is a huge share. For example, the countries like Turkey, which may now have enough of gas because of like different supply chains, such as like Turk Stream or South Gas Corridor from Azerbaijan to Italy. It may have also like many gas, but Turkey has very limited underground storage facilities with 5 or 6 BCM. And in case of Ukraine, it's 6 times more. And that's why it's only also one quality of Ukrainian gas policy is that we lease our underground storage facilities for European customer within a short haul procedure or for longer term. So it's mostly connected with European Union. So there is not a huge or any technological problem when it comes to storage facilities. Here you may see the map of Ukrainian gas transmission system. So it's really, as I said, it is really widely diverse one. So it has entry and exit points with all our neighbor countries, Russia, Belarus, Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Romania, Moldova. So for example, recently after contract between Moldova and Gazprom expired and they could not negotiate on a new one, Moldova was caught in a situation of emergency. So definitely the count was for days, and Ukraine supplied, as you may see, there is a pipeline supplied emergency gas, some, if I'm not mistaken, 20 or 30 million of cubic gas meters in order so that Moldova can maintain the critical infrastructure. So that's why Ukraine is like really important hub when it comes to gas distribution, because if you don't matter when you may enter the gas, either from Hungary or from Belarus. The huge capabilities of distribution and redistribution are actually creating opportunities for Ukraine to become a gas hub. And this is what I will talk about in the following slides. So from now on, I see the following perspectives how Ukrainian gas sector can be further developed. So vector one, which should be dealt immediately, it's production increase. So as I said, we only produce 20 and we have enormous gas reserves. So, but in this realm, recently, Ukraine had very good news. PCA means production sharing agreement on 2 Ukrainian major fields in the south of Ukraine were signed with EP Power Europe and NAFTA. It's Czech companies from Czech Republic and Slovakia. So the cumulative value of the deal was 1.5 billion UH. So it means Ukrainian hryvnia, Ukrainian currency, which is roughly speaking makes up to 100 million, a little bit less, like 70 to 80 million when it comes to investment in Ukrainian gas infrastructure, which is not such a bad thing in itself. And now we have taken the lessons from the past, because this was an ordeal with a field called Delphin. It was in 2015. Actually, Delphin is a very known field in Eastern Europe. It has huge capabilities at the South Sea, but due to some infrastructure reasons and not so sufficient enough corporate governance, even though we managed to make such companies like ExxonMobil, I mean the world giant from USA, to bid for the tender, Delphin was not traded, I mean, as a part of the auction within PCA. It was just given to our state company, which is not such well seen, but now as we may see, lessons were taken, and these PCAs are an example of it. Yeah. So when it comes above from gas production, gas hub should mean even more than just if you have enough gas, you can be gas exporter or gas transit or both. But gas hub, it's actually not something that you may do just with the abundance of these fossil fuels. So for example, Russia or Qatar, they have enough gas, but they don't have gas hubs. Gas hubs means the ability to store, distribute, transmit enormous amounts of gas from different directions. As you may see, there are plenty of opportunities in Ukraine. So a big storage system, constant flow of gas. And if you have this, you may create your own price index. So it won't be traded, for example, on the price stock market in Rotterdam in the Netherlands or in United Kingdom, but otherwise Ukraine would create its own stock market ratio for gas traded in Eastern Europe. Luckily, infrastructure allows us to do it. What Ukraine should do to reach this goal? So the first primary goal is to diversify apart from Russia, what Ukraine has been successfully doing after the Russian aggression of 2014. So we ceased importing direct Russian gas in 2015. And from now we get all the reverse gas, either it's a physical reverse or virtual reverse from Western Europe, from Central Europe and Western very partly, mostly Central, Slovakia, Hungary, and Poland. So this aim should be prioritized so that it's called in energy security strategy N-1 rule. It's also stated in numerous directives of European Commission. N-1 rule means that if your main supplier, in our case, before the aggression, it was Russia, may abandon you or you may have problems with it, your supply of gas, oil, coal, doesn't matter, should be stable. It's called N-1 rule. So this is a priority to be taken, and there are other ways to be explored. So for example, first step is to build interconnection with Poland to transport gas from LNG in Klaipėda in Lithuania and LNG plant and FCRU floating storage regasification unit in Poland. So it's like a floating LNG plant. So as you know, during the last decade, LNG production has become a new trend in gas world. So if in 2009, only like 5 or 7% was traded in LNG, so now it's 25-27% of the global gas trade, thanks to so-called shale revolution in the United States. Due to they have technology of fracking, and they have been able to become gas exporter rather than gas importer. And United States companies, primarily as I already mentioned, ExxonMobil, ConocoPhillips, and British companies, BP, or Netherlands companies, Shell, they all invested in LNG infrastructure. So LNG is not something contested. All countries develop LNG. Qatar is the first LNG exporter in the world. And even Russia, as part of the old dependence on its pipeline exports, due to the law passed in 2013 in State Duma, Parliament of Russian Federation, the monopoly for exporting LNG gas in particular was leased. So as you know, Gazprom has the monopoly rights for exporting Russian gas via pipeline. But when it goes to LNG, there is a free market. Now there is a leader called Novatek. And so Novatek has plants predominantly in Arctic, so Arctic LNG plant, and major companies even from China, CNPC, Japan, and French Total, they invest in there. So Ukraine should fit into this scheme via the following way. Poland has already has gas infrastructure and treaties with United States, contracts with United States, and Lithuania has the same. They were doing it as well with the aim to diversify apart from Russia. They are one of also diversification goal is Norway. So there is a Baltic Pipe project from Poland to Norway, and Ukrainian plays in this interconnection game. I see in the possibility of creating more infrastructure opportunities from the border so that Ukraine may get American gas from Poland and Lithuania to sustain and support our gas transmission system. Apart from it, Ukraine should join South Gas Corridor. So as you may see, there is a map of Ukraine and the map of Southern Gas Corridor. Southern Gas Corridor is a huge project. I held a panel discussion on it by myself as a moderator. We had representatives of Turkish Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and so we were all united in the aim. So the South Gas Corridor is a backbone of European energy security. It allows to get access for fields in Azerbaijan, namely SD2 and Shakhdini 2, to take it from Azerbaijan via Georgia to Turkey. It's called TANAP, as you may see, it's this part from Azerbaijan to Turkey, and TAP, or TAP, is from Turkey via Greece, Albania to Italy to further be imported by Western European countries such as Switzerland and Austria. So when it comes to South Gas Corridor, it's actually not a new project. It was been operational since mid-2000. It had the name of Nabucco, but the thing is that Nabucco was intended to connect Azerbaijan also with Central Asia. So with Turkmenistan, like the biggest exporter of natural gas from Central Asia. But they got some sticky problems with the Caspian Sea status alongside with Russia hindering the launch of Nabucco. And now the prospects of Trans-Caspian pipe seem unrealistic. But in any case, Southern Gas Corridor is operational and Ukraine can join via Trans-Balkan pipeline. So it's from, as you may see, this dot in Turkey, via Bulgaria, via Romania, partly via Moldova as well, to Ukraine. So there's an additional source of gas to be taken from Turkey as a gas center of southern Europe or Eastern Mediterranean. And Ukraine may benefit of it as well as I said, as additional supply for consumption, additional supply for creating gas hub, And last but not least, additional volume for our pipeline. So actually the thing is that our pipelines are so extensive and there's so many of it, create additional problem that Kiev should assure sufficient gas amounts. Because if there are not enough gas, the pressure in the pipeline goes down and it harms the infrastructure and it may not serve as much as we would like it to serve, and we want to serve it as much as possible. I would like to tell it about it in my couple of next slides when it comes to future of Ukrainian gas transmission system. Also, one of the perspectives thing Ukrainians have been talking about and which I personally support and I was publicly speaking about it in discussion where I participated in columns I read and I communicated it with representatives of Ukrainian economic agencies, state ones. I think that if implemented tightly, there is a cooperation possibility when it comes to LNG with Turkey and Qatar. So it surely should be only in this triangle because otherwise there are some problems about which I will talk in a sec. So as I said, LNG is a game changer. But I think that apart from the possibilities to get gas from Poland or even from Hungary, for example, the last year, the LNG plant in Croatia, KRK Island, it's called KRK in Croatia, was launched. So theoretically speaking, there's even a possibility to get gas from Croatian LNG plant KRK and via Hungary to Ukraine. But I think that Ukraine has also immense potential to have our own LNG plant. So many countries invest in LNG, as I said, even most oil gas exporting companies, Russia, Qatar, and China, a very active importer of gas, is also investing in LNG. So apart, they have extensive pipeline project. For example, with Russia, it's called Power of Siberia and Power of Siberia 2, or with Turkmenistan as well, and some pilot projects like TAPI, for example, it's in Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Pakistan, and India, and Bangladesh in some cases. LNG is a trend. So Ukraine may have an LNG plan for further their regasification and further use it and support gas to Moldova, Romania, Hungary, Poland, and all these countries in need of the gas. But the thing is that this idea is also not new. I'm not inventing the bicycle. One have been talking about LNG plant in Ukraine since late 90s or maybe early 200, early decade of our century. But the problem was always concentrated on the fact that Turkey was reluctant to grant access of LNG plants via Bosphorus and Dardanelles. So if you see the map, you understand that to get to the Black Sea, to Ukrainian territories, you need to pass Bosphorus and Dardanelles. According to Montreal Convention of 1936, Turkey has extensive rights of control over the Bosphorus and Dardanelles. So the thing is to have Turkey on board, which was further in late years more impossible. But now it's possible, namely to what have you all been mentioned in the beginning remarks of our conference. Ukraine has improved its ties with Turkey. We are now hope to launch in 2022 free trade agreement. And Turkey has very good ties with Qatar also after the Arab Spring of 2011, when Turkey changed somehow its policy, foreign policy, in the Middle East. Now they are acting in a very strong partnership. So for example, when Turkey had financial problems, it was Qatar who gave money to sustain the lira's state of affairs. And the same stuff when there was a danger of Turkey being invaded by the Gulf countries such as Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, or Bahrain. The Turkey said that we will protect Qatar, and Turkey has its military base in Qatar. And this conjunction may help Ukraine to fit into. For example, it was also, thankfully, it was a matter of discussion when Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited Qatar the spring during this year, this spring. It was quite a nice visit. So when it comes to our triangle, the thing is that Qatar is major gas exporter. It's #1 LNG exporter in the world. And so to have LNG in Ukraine, you should have a contract between Ukraine, Turkey, and Qatar, because they like to form a so-called alliance. Ukraine would get gas and become a gas hub. Qatar would get like assured proper supply of gas. So it's like analog of long-term gas contract. And Turkey, what can Turkey get? From my point of view, Turkey would be interested in the access to Ukrainian gas storage facilities. So as I mentioned, Turkey has enough of gas, but has severe problem with gas storage facilities, and Ukraine may offer it in exchange for some discount price. So and from my point of view, I think such a cooperation may work out. When we talk about the future, one should not think that gas should be forever. We all know about the growing pledges of international community to phase out fossil fuels, because global warming is not a joke. According to recent IPCC, International Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change within the UN agency, like the average world temperature since pre-industrial level has already been risen to 1.2 degrees, which is like a huge increase, and countries committed to contain the greenhouse gases increasement till 2% in Paris Agreement. So there is a growing trend in investment in green energy, and gases should also be decarbonized, low carbon gases. So natural gas creates a tremendous effect on environment. And for example, the parties, they say that we will use natural gas forever because we will like develop CCUS. CCUS is carbon capture, utilization, and sequestration, so that you may release CO2 and capture it from the air and everything is okay. CCUS is very underdeveloped, so it's practically a joke. Like in the last year, there was amount of 36 billion of ton of CO2 equivalent. It's a huge number. And the problem of global warming, it has cumulative effect. It's a stock. So the more you emit every day, every single ton of CO2, of methane, CH4, of sulfur dioxide, of other greenhouse gases has an effect. So the thing is to decarbonize the system. Ukraine has huge capabilities. Hydrogen, for example. Ukraine was named as a partner country in hydrogen strategy of European Union. Problem with hydrogen is that if you consider to fit hydrogen into existing framework of gas, you can do it like for 100%, because unfortunately, molecule of hydrogen is smaller than molecule of aluminium from which our pipeline is built. What does it mean? It means so if you put into hydrogen, pure hydrogen, you will experience severe losses. So these molecules of hydrogen will just flow out of pipeline. And from practical point of view, it's a waste of energy. That's why the major analysts in OECD countries, in particular, in international energy agencies, they're talking about the 15–20% of hydrogen share. Ukraine has been making test experiments in some parts of Ukrainian gas transmission system, and it was successful. And also for biomethane, I'm very happy that the last month Ukraine passed a law on biomethane. So biomethane is an upgraded biogas. So you may have solid municipal waste, you may have agriculture waste, etc. Out of it, you make biogas. Biogas is a mixture of methane, CO2, and other impurities. And biomethane is an upgraded biogas. So biomethane is actually methane, one we use in our natural gas, because it's CH4, but like not one created or emitted in the atmosphere. And biomethane, the most prominent thing about it is that it can be used in existing infrastructure. Now biomethane is not so widely used across the globe. I mean, it takes only 4% of 0.1% in total primary energy supply in the world market, but there are tremendous tremendous potential to be held, and I see and hope that Ukraine will be able to seize these opportunities to be able to fit into the context of low carbon gas transmission, which to my point of view will be definitely done in place. The question is whether it should be net zero till 2050 or 2060, but sooner or later, this is an inevitable future. And if you consider the profile of major gas companies and oil companies, they are all investing in green and in hydrogen and in biomethane. So what the future holds? It was all, and I wanted to say for today about Ukrainian gas transmission system and our prospects. And I would be like happy and still to answer any questions you may have about the all I already mentioned in my presentation.